"Sir, you're not leaving this driveway until the fine is paid in full." That's what one of them said, standing with his chest puffed out, arms crossed, reflective vest catching the glow of his hazard lights like he'd just stepped off a construction site. His partner, equally smug, scribbled something on a clipboard that looked suspiciously like a photocopied parking ticket. My driveway, my own slice of cracked concrete paradise, was barricaded by two wannabe cops who didn't have real badges, just laminated name tags with the HOA logo printed in Comic Sans. For a long second, I didn't say a word. I just let the moment breathe. The sharp whir of the hazard lights cut through the night. Porch lights clicked on down the block one by one, like a stage play where the audience couldn't wait to see Act Two. Curtains twitched. Someone whispered. Somewhere behind me, the neighbor's sprinkler sputtered to life, adding a hiss to the tension. And me? I just smiled, because this right here, was going to be fun. It had started 2 weeks earlier with a letter, a cream-colored envelope stamped with the HOA seal, tucked neatly under my doormat. Inside was a notice of violation, accusing me of failure to maintain acceptable lawn appearance per section 4B. The evidence: a single photograph of my yard where, I'll admit, a patch of crabgrass had staged a minor rebellion along the fence line. $79. That was the price they slapped on it. Now, I've lived in this neighborhood long enough to know the president, Denise Parker. Sharp smile, shoulder pads in every outfit, the type of woman who weaponizes bake sales. Denise runs the HOA like it's her personal fiefdom. She once fined a neighbor for having excessively festive Halloween decor. I watched her shut down a garage sale because someone had the audacity to use neon poster board for signs. She loves the bylaws the way other people love their grandchildren. But this, sending two men to block my car over $79, that was new. "Gentlemen," I finally said, stepping closer to the reflective duo, "do you really think this is legal?" The taller one adjusted his vest, clearly thrilled to have an audience. "Sir, per HOA enforcement guidelines, non-payment of fines results in escalation procedures." "Escalation," I repeated like I was tasting the word. "Yes," Denise's voice cut in from the sidewalk. She appeared like a general surveying a battlefield, arms crossed, clipboard clutched like a scepter. "As of last month's board vote, we are authorized to immobilize vehicles until compliance is achieved. This is standard procedure." From behind the blinds across the street, I caught the silhouette of Mrs. Klein, who hasn't been to an HOA meeting in years, leaning forward like she'd paid for front-row tickets. A few teenagers rode past on bikes, circling back for a second look, eyes wide with the thrill of suburban chaos. "So, you're telling me," I said slowly, "that my car isn't leaving my own driveway until I hand you $79? "That's correct," Denise said. "We'll accept cash, check, or online transfer." I swear the shorter vest guy puffed up even more at that, like he'd just written me a speeding ticket. I let out a long, theatrical sigh. "And if I have somewhere I need to be?" "Should have thought of that before you neglected your lawn," Denise shot back, her voice laced with victory. Now, I could have ended it right there. I could have flashed the badge that lives in my wallet and watched their little HOA theater collapse in on itself. But where's the fun in that? No, this needed to simmer. "You know," I said, turning to the crowd that had gathered quietly on the sidewalk, "this feels a little over the top, doesn't it?" Murmurs rippled. Someone chuckled. Someone else whispered, "Is this even allowed?" Denise's eyes narrowed. The board voted unanimously. That was the thing about Denise. She liked to say, "the board." But everyone knew it was really just her, Marge from Lot 12, and her cousin who never actually attends but always submits proxy votes. The taller vest guy tapped his clipboard. "We're not moving until payment is made." I tilted my head, studying them. Their hazard lights kept flashing, casting the whole scene in an orange strobe that made the moment feel even more absurd. I could smell gasoline from the idling car, the faint sweetness of someone's laundry vent. the crisp September air that carried every sound just a little too clearly. "Interesting," I said softly, almost to myself, and then I smiled again, the kind of smile that made Denise visibly shift her weight, like she just realized the play wasn't going exactly how she scripted it. "I'll tell you what," I continued, stepping back toward my porch. "Why don't you stay right here? I'll be back in just a moment." I could feel their eyes drilling into my back as I walked inside, shutting the door with deliberate calm. From the front window, I watched them glance at each other, clearly wondering what I was up to. And that's where I'll leave you, for now. Two fake cops in reflective vests guarding my driveway over $79, Denise on her sidewalk throne, and me inside, pulling out a folder that would change the game entirely. But not yet. Not tonight. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge is letting the other side believe they're winning, right before the badge drops. As of tonight, Maple Court will be governed under new authority. Think of it as martial law, HOA edition. Yes, those words actually came out of Denise Parker's mouth, amplified by a squeaky portable microphone she'd dragged into the middle of our cul-de-sac. For a moment, the whole block went silent. Neighbors on folding chairs, kids perched on handlebars, even Mr. Klein's yappy terrier froze mid-bark. Then came the groans, the muttered, "Are you kidding me?" and the exaggerated eye rolls. A few people laughed nervously, waiting for Denise to wink and say it was all a joke. But Denise doesn't joke. She doubles down. Always. The microphone squealed, and she leaned closer, eyes shining with the kind of thrill only found in dictatorships and community bake-offs. "The HOA will now maintain jurisdiction over all parking, traffic, and vehicle activity within Maple Court," she declared. "That means citations, patrols, and enforcement. We are the police department of this neighborhood." The words hung in the night air like smoke. Somewhere behind me, a kid whispered, "Does that mean she can arrest us?" I didn't answer. I just tightened my grip on the little notebook I'd started carrying because when someone like Denise Parker goes off the rails, you document everything. Now, this emergency meeting hadn't just materialized out of nowhere. 3 days earlier, another cream-colored letter had appeared in my mailbox. "Mandatory attendance," it read in bold, aggressive font. No explanation. No agenda. Just Denise's signature at the bottom, underlined twice. The HOA bylaws technically allow the president to call special meetings, but they're supposed to give at least 7 days' notice. Of course, Denise skipped that part. So, here we were, neighbors circled around a wobbly card table draped with a plastic tablecloth patterned in fading sunflowers. Denise had brought props, whistles, safety vests, even a stack of mock citations that looked like they'd been printed on her home office inkjet. And standing beside her like loyal soldiers were the same 2 reflective vest officers who had blocked my driveway. Their hazard light car was parked nearby, idling, bathing the cul-de-sac in a restless orange strobe. "From now on," Denise continued, pacing like a motivational speaker who'd lost the plot, "vehicles parked more than 18 inches from the curb will receive warnings. Repeat violations will incur escalating fines, and any vehicle deemed abandoned or improperly maintained will be towed at the owner's expense." The collective gasp from the crowd was almost theatrical. I swear I saw Mrs. Gonzalez clutch her pearls like she was in a soap opera. "Excuse me," a voice piped up. It was Harold from Lot 8, the quiet accountant who rarely speaks above a whisper. "You can't just act like the police. The HOA doesn't have that kind of authority." Denise didn't even blink. "Actually, Harold, the HOA has authority granted by the community bylaws, which you agreed to when you signed your property deed. Section 6 clearly states that the HOA may enforce rules regarding vehicles." "That's not the same as being a police department," I said, projecting my voice just enough to carry. All eyes turned to me. Denise's smile faltered for half a second before snapping back into place. "Our jurisdiction is limited, of course," she said, almost purring. "But within Maple Court, the HOA's word is final. Even the police can't override HOA authority here. That line. That was the one. You could feel the ripple go through the crowd. Some people stiffened, others scoffed. The absurdity was almost too much, but the danger was real. Denise wasn't just playing dictator, she believed it. Behind me, the teens on bikes muttered, "This is insane." One of them actually started recording on his phone. Smart kid. I raised my notebook slightly, enough for Denise to notice. Her eyes narrowed. She knew I was taking notes. "Denise," I said, keeping my tone even, "you're setting yourself up for serious trouble if you keep pretending the HOA has police powers. This isn't just overreach, it's abuse." Her nostrils flared. Abuse is neighbors who let their lawns grow wild. Abuse is cars parked overnight on the street, lowering our property values. I am protecting this neighborhood. The shorter vest guy actually blew his whistle at that exact moment, as if on cue. The shrill sound bounced off the houses, making babies cry and adults cringe. It was almost comical, except no one was laughing anymore. "Effective immediately," Denise barked, pointing toward the line of cars parked along the curb. "Violations will be noted. The patrol will circulate nightly, and any interference with enforcement will be considered obstruction." Obstruction. She really used that word. Neighbors started muttering louder now, the crowd buzzing with disbelief and anger. Someone shouted, "This is ridiculous." Another voice, "We should vote you out." But Denise, perched on her little power throne, didn't flinch. I could feel the tension reaching a breaking point. People weren't just annoyed, they were scared. Scared of fines, scared of retaliation, scared of what Denise might do next. And that fear gave her power. I tucked my notebook into my jacket pocket, my heart steady, my mind already calculating the next move. Because Denise had just given me exactly what I needed. Proof. Proof of overreach, proof of abuse, proof that would burn her little empire to the ground. But not yet. Not tonight. I let the murmurs swell, let the chaos rise, and then I turned on my heel, heading back toward my house. Behind me, Denise's voice crackled over the microphone. "Remember, neighbors, compliance is mandatory." The words echoed down Maple Court, sharp and hollow, as the hazard lights kept flashing like a warning sign. And me? I was already planning the reveal, the moment her empire would collapse under the weight of a single badge. Tap, tap. The sound of my knuckles against Denise Parker's plastic podium cut through the chatter like a gavel. Every eye in the clubhouse turned toward me. I set the folder down with deliberate care, the gold seal of the city catching the fluorescent light, and then I pulled out the badge. You could have heard a leaf drop. Gasps rippled across the room like a wave at a ball game. The reflective vest brigade suddenly froze in place, their clipboards clutched like life rafts. A woman in the back actually whispered, "Oh my God." And Denise blinked once, twice, her lips parting as though she just realized she'd been caught in her own play. "I believe," I said, voice steady, "we need to have a serious conversation about jurisdiction." Let me back up. This wasn't just a random Tuesday. This was the special enforcement meeting Denise had called after her so-called parking patrol had spent 2 weeks terrorizing Maple Court. Neighbors had been fined for crooked parking jobs, cited for expired inspection stickers, even threatened with impound for leaving bikes on driveways overnight. One poor guy down the street got a warning slip for having dusty hubcaps. And Denise loved every minute of it. She strutted into the meeting like a general reviewing her troops, flanked by the same 2 officers in their blinding vests. The room smelled faintly of burnt coffee and lemon-scented Lysol, the kind of sterile environment where Denise thrived. She wasted no time climbing onto her podium, microphone in hand, and launching into her sermon about standards of excellence and discipline. "Maple Court must remain a model neighborhood," she declared, waving a stack of citations like Holy Scripture. "If that means stricter enforcement, then so be it." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Parents exchanged worried glances. Retirees muttered under their breath. Even the teenagers lurking in the back corner had stopped smirking, their phones aimed squarely at Denise like they knew this was history in the making. And me. I sat in the front row, folder in my lap, waiting. She went on, reveling in her power until she finally dropped the line that set the stage for my move. The HOA is the highest authority here. Not even the police can override our decisions. That was it. Showtime. I stood, folder in hand, and walked to the podium. Denise tried to continue, her voice cracking just slightly. "Excuse me, sir. This is my presentation." "Not anymore," I said, tapping the podium. Tap, tap. The room stilled. I opened the folder, sliding out the badge and credentials. The gold shone under the fluorescent light, official seal and all. "My name," I said clearly, "is Chief Jonathan Miller, Chief of Police for this city." The effect was immediate. Gasps, nervous laughter. Someone dropped their coffee cup, the clatter echoing across the linoleum floor. The reflective vest duo took a synchronized step back like I'd just pulled a weapon instead of a wallet. Denise tried to laugh, high-pitched and brittle. You can't be serious." "Oh, I'm serious," I said, holding the badge steady so the whole room could see. "And what I've seen these past 2 weeks? Illegal detainment, fraudulent citations, extortion. None of this is standard procedure. It's harassment." The murmurs rose to a roar. Neighbors who'd been quiet suddenly found their voices. "I told you this wasn't legal," someone shouted. "We should have called the police." Another chimed in, before catching themselves and realizing the police were already here. Denise's face turned a shade I'd only ever seen on overripe tomatoes. She stammered. The board approved." "Your board," I cut in, "isn't a law enforcement agency. You don't have the right to block driveways, issue fake tickets, or threaten to tow vehicles. If you try it again, you won't be dealing with a homeowner complaint. You'll be dealing with my department." For the first time, Denise had no comeback. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again, but nothing came out. The vest brigade wilted, staring at their shoes like schoolboys caught cheating. And the neighbors. They erupted. Applause, laughter, cheers that bounced off the low ceiling and shook the dusty blinds. People hugged, someone whistled. Even Mrs. Klein, who never leaves her porch, slapped her knee and shouted, "About time!" I let the noise swell, then raised my hand for quiet. Every citation issued under this so-called patrol is null and void. Any fines already collected will be refunded, and if anyone here experiences retaliation from the HOA, you call me directly. I handed a stack of business cards to the front row, watching them pass from hand to hand like golden tickets. Denise's shoulders sagged. Her empire was crumbling, and she knew it. But her eyes, sharp, defiant, told me this wasn't the end. "Chief Miller," she said, trying to muster authority, "you may have embarrassed me tonight, but the HOA isn't going anywhere." I leaned in just close enough for only her to hear. "Neither am I." And that's where I left it. Badge back in my pocket, folder under my arm, walking out of that clubhouse to the sound of neighbors cheering like they'd just watched the final scene of a movie. But deep down, I knew Denise Parker wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. Queens don't surrender their thrones quietly. And Maple Court? The war was only beginning.